Let's go over to Manchester City. We just talked about that APT case, and on the back end of that, not sure if it's related or not. Director of football Tiki Begiristain did decide to leave at the end of this season. There'll be a bit of a transfer of hands at some point during the 2025 year. Is this a huge blow for Manchester City?
Look, I don't think it's anything at all to do with the situation legally with Man City. I think he'd always planned to go at this sort of juncture in his career. He is undoubtedly one of the greats in that sort of position. I don't think it's a blow for City because they've got Hugo Viana coming in, and there's going to be like a 6-month handover, which is fantastic. So I think if it had been a blow, then he may have gone and they've had to find somebody quickly, but that's not the case. There's been a real succession planning situation here, and City have done it very well. He will be a loss, I'm sure. He's got great knowledge, but I think probably having a younger guy coming in like Viana, give it a pair of fresh eyes, I think it's all very positive in terms of City from that point of view.
And we know, obviously, Begiristain and Peps' relationship over the years. How does this affect the chances of keeping Pep around after the season? We know the rumors about him in England just started popping up this week as well.
I think Pep's getting towards the end of his time at Man City. He's starting to, all these sort of little signs here or there are starting to show that he's becoming a little bit unsettled. He always strikes me as somebody who doesn't want to go through the motions. He likes a fresh challenge all the time. And I think he's starting to feel that he's done, he's had a lot of success with Man City. He's done it all. And I think just to keep repeating it, while it's a challenge in itself, I don't think it's the fresh sort of challenge that Pep needs. So I think we're starting to see that in the next year or two, he'll be going.
But do you expect him to potentially sign a 1-year extension, or do you think he'll just run out his contract this year and potentially take that England job?
I think the England job would be below him, to be honest. I don't think it's that big a job, as much as the media seem to think it's the most important job in English football. I don't think it is. I think the Premier League is actually bigger than the England job. So I don't know if Pep could have any interest in doing something like the England job. I'd be very surprised if he does, and it would be my opinion that he won't take it. But I think he may well run out his contract this year. I think it's coming to the end of whether it's one more year, that may be possible. But I think it's certainly coming to the end.
And the signing of Sporting Lisbon's Hugo Viana to take on that director of football role, beginning of a new era for Manchester City. Do we think this is potentially somebody who they believe could, help resurrect them should a relegation come?
Yeah, look, I think it is passing the baton. And as we're just talking about Pep possibly going, it gives Viana a chance to sort of settle in for a little while, speak to Begiristain, etc., get a feeling, and he'll have his own view on potential successors for Pep. So I think it does mean that there is a changing of the guard, but it'll be well planned for, it'll be well thought out, and I know that they'll do a good job with it. That's just the hallmark of where City are right now, and they have the luxury of time and resources to do that. So you'd expect nothing less. But I do think Viana can bring some fresh eyes, and I think particularly in the managerial selection, his views will be quite important.
And then away from all this courtroom kind of drama, there's been the news that director of football Begiristain is believed to be set to leave Man City at the end of the season. How much of a blow is that for the club?
Well, it's a big hit, but it was always going to happen. It's nearly happened a few times over the years. So I think he's considered retiring from the age of 55. He's now 60 at the end of the season. And as I understand it, there's been various times over the last few years where he's been on the verge of leaving and has postponed it. And this is the final, he's decided not to postpone it any longer. But it is a big blow because he's been central to City's success since 2012. His fingerprints are all over, not just the Pep situation, but also a lot of the signings that were made in the Pellegrini era as well. City did win the league under Pellegrini as well. People, do forget that, albeit only once. You look at if it coincides with Guardiola leaving as well, and perhaps other people within that sort of block of Catalonian management, then clearly the issue will be big. I mean, we know in football succession issues are a big problem. United has had famous issues since Sir Alex Ferguson and David Gill left, and Arsenal took a long time to settle down after Wenger left. So yeah, we know that these sorts of disruptions are significant. But if he's 60, he's 60, and at some point people decide that they want to spend a bit more time in the sun, I guess. And he's been at the club a very long time, and I don't think we should read too much into it, but it will be a problem, no question.
And then Guardiola said in his press conference the other day that the Premier League's turned down Man City's request to postpone the first 2 games of next season after the Club World Cup. Do you think that's an understandable stance from the Premier League on that?
I don't know. I don't know why they would turn it down. I think the simple solution would be to have, as we had this season, to have Chelsea versus City first game of the season and postpone that. Right, so that would fix at least probably 1 week of the issue. It doesn't seem like it's a huge ask to me. I mean, I think it would seem to me that if we are endorsing the tournament, and maybe we're not, I don't know, but if the Premier League is endorsing the tournament, it should want its representatives in Chelsea and City to do as well as possible, because it overall is good for the Premier League brand. But I assume they've got some good reason for rejecting it. I'm not completely sure what it would be. Maybe it's just too disruptive of the calendar to take out 2 weeks of games. I don't know. It's on the face of it, it seems like a perfectly reasonable suggestion. But I'm sure the Premier League had its reasons.